Do you want to get an edge in 2025? Do you want to find out which investments will change your life next year? Well, today we're going to tell you which stocks will change your life in the year 2025. Now, this is not like a just throw something at the wall. I think this is going to happen. And we're not following the crowd, right? Tesla, we know it's going to do good. Google, we know it's going to do good. Microsoft. But I'm going to give you three stocks that people are not talking about that will literally change your life in 2025, in my humble opinion. So we're going to talk about those three stocks, talk about how to get an edge, how we can get to the bag, and also how to be profitable. Before we get started, as always, though, like, subscribe, share to our channel as we continue to grow. You know, I'm here to give great information. In real life, I'm a certified financial planner. I manage over $250 million in assets. On these YouTube streets, I give great information, and this information today is going to allow you to do something that most people won't. And that is to, in my opinion, completely destroy the gains of the stock market. Lego. So the first company we're going to talk about today is TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductors. And this is why. So the first one that I think is going to change your investment life in the year 2025, TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor. Now, why do we believe that it is going to outperform the stock market, and why I believe that it is going to crush the stock market? Well, my friends, it's called game theory. If you're familiar with game theory, it's when one company or one country does something good, all the other countries have to stockpile. And right now, it is a war going on. And that war is chips. And NVIDIA has done a great way here domestically to make sure we win that war. But we have the second largest economy in the world, and that's China. And China sees this little old country right next to them. That little old country that they say is actually theirs by proxy, and that is Taiwan. So what's China going to do? Well, it's been rumblings for about a few years that China is going to invade Taiwan. This little old country, not because of resources that you think, natural resources, power, yeah, military, not so much, but because they have a proprietary, in quotation marks, resource called chips. And those chips, they've done a great job of creating. And China knows if they're able to invade Taiwan, take that proprietary information and manufacture those chips, that gives them the power that right now the US has. So we have a president, and the president-elect Trump, he is one thing and one thing only when it comes to security: a nationalist. Doesn't care about the world. He cares about America. I'm not getting political, but it is what it is. So with that being said, we know that President Trump is going to do whatever he can that protects our interests. And Taiwan is an interest of ours. So what has already happened? Taiwan has moved, with TSMC, has moved literally half their operations already into the US. And the first conversation that President Trump has with Xi Jinping in China is not going to be about gender. It's not going to be about communism. It's not going to be him supporting Putin. It's going to be, don't you dare in your life invade Taiwan. Let us relocate the factories to Austin, Texas, where it's at now. And it's going to be some type of gentleman's agreement, because no one likes war. People like power, but they don't like war. So TSMC is now going to be funded more and more by the federal government. And we had a thing called the CHIPS Act last year. And the CHIPS Act gave billions, actually trillions of dollars to semiconductor companies based in the US. Only half of that money has been spent. So now, since Taiwan Semiconductor is a company that is now based in the US in the next 2 years, who do you think is going to profit off of that? Taiwan Semiconductors. And their stock is privy to explode. Look at the charts. Now, as we see with the charts, TSM has almost doubled this year, up by 96%. But NVIDIA over the same time period is up by 400%. So we get the back end of the US. We're now creating US jobs. We're making President Trump happy. And President Trump's going to make an example showing, hey, this is what happens when we do America first. They're going to get government contracts that they don't know what to do with. In my opinion, TSM is going to double next year. Now, on average, the stock market makes 9% a year on average. Stock market might go up, might go down. But I think because of everything we talked about, the war that's going on right now with chips, TSM being now not an American company, but doing the operations in America and protecting our allies and protecting our biggest resource, which is chips for the future, that's going to power the economy. I believe we can look at TSM at the end of next year, it being $200 a share. No, it being close to $400 a share. Yes, I said $400. Look at the whiteboard. So number one, the war, the chip war. As I said, there's a war going on right now to make chips, manufacturing chips to power our world. And TSM is a prime driver of that. And we know since they're an ally, we want to make sure that we win that war. Number two, a win for President Trump. Since Taiwan is our biggest ally when it comes to manufacturing chips, we want to make sure that China does not win. And when China doesn't win, who wins? The United States. And Trump is going to use TSM as a symbol of American power. And number three, the market, the chip market, that is. Because of the growth of NVIDIA, people are going to find investments they think is going to be the next NVIDIA. And because of those other examples I talked about, we think that TSM is positioned to be the next NVIDIA. NVIDIA is up over 400% over the past 3 years. We think TSM, in my humble opinion, is going to double, which is doing almost 10x the stock market. So that's the first stock, TSM. Now the second stock. The second stock that we think is going to do extremely well in 2025, Okta. Now you're thinking to yourself, what is Okta? Well, we're going to give you a scenario of what Burger King could have been. 15 years ago, right? Burger King had this great idea, very, very good idea, the King, right? And from a standpoint of momentum, from a standpoint of enthusiasm and marketing, they were beating that old dinosaur called McDonald's. And a lot of people think that Burger King would eventually take over McDonald's because it was cool, it was hip. They did things that McDonald's didn't do, marketing. And people thought that it was the death of McDonald's. But was people wrong? And why was people wrong? Is because Burger King dropped the bag. They didn't have what you call infrastructure. And my profiteers, infrastructure is huge when it comes to the growth of a business because you can have a lot of things in place, marketing, idea-wise, but if you don't have the infrastructure, if you don't have the scalability to grow, then you will miss out on that chance. Well, 15 years later, we have something from a marketing standpoint and from an imagination standpoint is something that is well needed, and that's Okta. And why? Because they basically don't stop, but they do a very, very, very good way to stop identity theft when it comes to our social medias. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, cloud, they're all on the cloud. So this imaginary space we have where our information is not on our computer, it's not on a device, it's actually in outer space. Well, wouldn't it be great if a company was able to store all that information securely? And big old companies pay them to do that. Governments pay them to do that. Well, that company exists, and that company's Okta. They get government contracts. They have companies that use them for their security so they can store all sensitive information for the people who use their services on the cloud. Microsoft, they knock on Okta's door. Apple knocks on Okta's door. And a lot of other companies and governments knock on Okta's door. And they're hip, they're cool, they're the new flavor. But unlike Burger King 15 years ago, Okta has found a way with their infrastructure to deliver. And their stock was going up and away in 2021. And then their stock plummeted. So for this reason alone, retracement wise, the stock has to get back to where it was, in my humble opinion. And if it does, my profiteers, that's going to be the gain of all gains. Let's check it out. Look at here, my profiteers. February 2021, Okta down 85%. All the hype, just like with Burger King, all that hype, they didn't live up to the hype. They may have lived up to the hype, but what destroyed the hype? The market in 2021. And all those high-flying tech companies that didn't make any money, but they were being hyped up because of potential, they all went down. And when it comes to boats, we say, right, tide rises all boats, and then things come splashing down. So they came splashing down like everything else. Not saying it was warranted, but they came splashing down. But they reinvented themselves. They found ways to become profitable. And yesterday alone, they was up by 18% when it came out with their quarterly filing saying how much revenue they made. And as we can see, just getting back to where it was, because from its low, as y'all can see, from its low, it's up already by 96% since January 2023. But to get back to where it was, my profiteers, we're looking at a gain, a substantial gain, keep on climbing, of 263%. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be the 263%. I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I am saying is that I think Okta is going to get to 150. If Okta gets to 150, that is a 100% gain. So still $100 from where it was 4 years ago. Still underperforming for a person who bought it February 2021. But as a new investor, taking advantage of the cool thing that's out there, that is something that we want to take advantage of. And look at this. For all my technical engineers out there, LinkedIn, Google, Salesforce, Box, Concord, Twitter, Postini, Office 365, all some way, somehow use Okta as the firewall to protect their data. And anytime we protect something, that's always a good thing. So this shows you how important Okta is. And if we had a way to have one system protect everybody, companies are going to put money into that to protect them, and the government is as well, hence why they're getting government contracts. So we'll go over again the reasons why. So again, the 3 reasons why we think Okta is going to dramatically outperform the stock market: the hype. Think about it like Burger King. The hype right now of Okta is crazy on Wall Street. Wall Street looks at this as the next best thing. It was the next best thing 4 years ago before it went crashing down with everything else in 2021. And 18% gain a few days ago shows the hype is real. So when somebody gets behind something and all the analysts say it's a good thing, institutionals put money in. And where the banks, the rich, the elite put money into something, does it go up or does it go down? Number 2, it went down by so much in 2021. Just the recovery alone, right? Not even getting back to where it was, but it was down by 85%. It's already made 96% over the past year and a half. So just from a recovery standpoint, just slowly but surely getting back to where it was, we get to take advantage of something that was at $280 a share 4 years ago. Now it's at $70. So the recovery alone plus the hype is going to make it grow. In my opinion, the third reason why is because of retracement. Stocks always retrace. Sometimes it's an 18-month retracement, sometimes a 3-year retracement, meaning when it goes down in 3 to 5 years, it can go back up the same it went down. And since it went up by 96%, the retracement going back down, right? A retracement of 85% is 40%. So 40% on 280 is 140. So that 40% to 50% range altogether should drive the stock to $140 to $150 a share. And if that happens, then Okta, we think, is going to be something that destroys the stock market in a positive way. But then number three, again, these are things that people are not talking about. But the third stock that we think is going to destroy the stock market in 2025 is MicroStrategy. Now, yes, I've talked about MicroStrategy many times. And MicroStrategy is a stock that people loved about a month ago. But MicroStrategy in the past month has went from 530 to 330. That is a 40% drop. And people are now having second thoughts about MicroStrategy. They're having second thoughts about holding Bitcoin as cash instead of cash. But question, when the stock was at $80 a share, did it seem like a bad idea? Of course not. When the stock went up to $200 a share, people said it was a great stock, but it might not last. And it kept on going up. Was it a good buy? Of course it was. When it was at $400 a share 4 months ago, before President Trump got elected, then it skyrocketed to 534. We liked it then. So why not like it today? MicroStrategy is the future because banks, companies, and financial institutions are going to look at them and say, you know what? This makes no sense. I'm holding billions of dollars of cash, and my cash is doing what? I'm going down, in the words of Mary J. Blige. It ain't making no money. While Bitcoin, with its ups and downs over the course of a year, it's going up. So $1 billion in cash January 1st is $1 billion in cash December 31st. Maybe if I used, I don't know, 10 million, 1%, 5%, which is 50 million, and I put that into Bitcoin, so 95% is in cash and other 5% is in Bitcoin, and I just hold that, and Bitcoin just goes up by 50%, let's say. Well, now that 50 million turns to 75 million. I'm making money on my money that's sitting there. And with interest rates going down next year, we're not getting 4 or 5% rates anymore from an interest standpoint. You're getting maybe 2.5. Companies will be a fool not to do what MicroStrategy is doing. They're actually not doing what's right for their shareholders, because as a CEO, my number one job, not to keep my clients happy, but is to keep my shareholders who are owners of my company happy. And companies right now, secretively, off the books, are buying off the books cryptocurrency, more importantly, Bitcoin. When they start announcing that they're doing that, their stock is going to go up. What's going to happen to Bitcoin when we find out more companies are buying Bitcoin and holding them on their balance book? Bitcoin is going to go up. What happens then to MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy goes up. So you would be a fool if you did not take advantage of MicroStrategy today. Look at the charts. MicroStrategy for the year 2024 is up by 1,800%. I repeat, 1,800%. People can invest their money for 50 years and not make 1,800%. That is like 100% a year for 18 years. Who's doing that? That's like making 50% a year for 36 years. Who's doing that? I'm telling you, this is an investment opportunity of a lifetime, because companies are going to mimic MicroStrategy. And was MicroStrategy the first, just like Tesla? Tesla's the first electric car. We know what's happening with Tesla now with this growth. First to market, you're always looked at as the best. Bitcoin, the biggest. MicroStrategy, the first. MicroStrategy is going to grow. And it went down too, because as we look at the charts, MicroStrategy was as high as 545. MicroStrategy is down by literally 40%. 40% over the past month. If MicroStrategy just gets back to where it was, my friends, that is a 77% gain. Do we think MicroStrategy is going to get back to where it was? Of course we do. Will it take 3 months, 6 months to a year? If it takes a year, that's 77%. Getting back to where it was, Bitcoin being back at 110,000 by the end of next year, we know that's going to happen. But it just gets better for MicroStrategy. And why does it get better? Because the Bitcoin reserve is happening, where the federal government is going to buy approximately $1 million of Bitcoin to put in the federal treasury for reserve. So when that happens, what happens to everybody else? All the other countries are going to buy Bitcoin. Game theory, right? Because they don't want the US to be the world powers. This happened with the space. JFK saw Russia rocking and rolling. He said, you know what? We're going to be the first ones to the moon. And you had China, Japan, Russia, all these other countries spending millions of dollars, damn near going bankrupt, just so they can say that they went to outer space and then they went to the moon. For what? Just to go to the moon. Well, here, everybody's spending their money to buy Bitcoin. It's not just to go to the moon and flex as a country, but it's to have power. Why do so many countries hoard gold? Because of power. Bitcoin is the next power move. And MicroStrategies, because they was the first to hold Bitcoin as cash on their balance sheet, is going to profit from it. I believe MicroStrategies is not going to make 77% next year. I believe Bitcoin is going to get to 200,000 a coin. When that happens, I believe MicroStrategy, that's today at $302, will be a $900 stock. And $900 from here is 150%. Now, these are big and bold proclamations. But let's just look here at the whiteboard and see why. In the words of T-Pain and Mano, you better believe it. Yes, MicroStrategy is 150% next year. First off, it's already down by 44% from its high. So just to get back to where it was, 85% gain, and that's Bitcoin being at 105,000 a coin. We think that's going to happen next year? Of course. The Bitcoin reserve. The federal government said, well, Trump is going to order the federal government to have a reserve of 1 million Bitcoin. That happens, the price of Bitcoin goes up. More companies are going to feel good and stable about Bitcoin because the federal government is buying so much Bitcoin, so it can't go down in value. So they're going to slowly but surely use some of their money that's in cash, and they're going to buy Bitcoin to keep on their balance sheet. When that happens, MicroStrategy is going to go up. And number 3, Bitcoin is going to be at $200,000 a coin, in my humble opinion, by the end of 2025. Some people think $250,000 a coin. Kathy Woods thinks it's going to be $325,000 a coin. So with just simple math, Bitcoin being at $92,000 a coin now, If we 3x that, that 300 is going to be $1,200. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. What I am saying, well, actually, that's, wow, not per share. My bad, y'all. $2,400 per share. Now, that is a big proclamation. I'm not making that. I'm just saying 900 because to get back to where it was, that's at 534, and from there, basically doubling. So I'm not saying it's going to go to $2,000 a share. I'm not saying that. They'll probably split the stock. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if Bitcoin gets to $200,000 a coin, MicroStrategies will be rocking and rolling probably above 1,000 at that point. So for those three reasons, MicroStrategies is the pick that you do not want to miss. So my profiteers, yes, a little long-winded today, but I want to give you guys the edge. I'm not talking about, oh, just pick a stock and hold it in the index fund. We do that for our clients because you want to be diversified and you want to also risk tolerance. But we also have our clients in this as well. Now, I'm not saying put all your money in these three stocks, but I do believe these three stocks will outperform the market, not just a little bit, but a lot. If we just get one right and the other two just do what the market does, you're still making 40%. If the market averages 10, you make 40, you do 4x the market. Come on now. Come on. That's why your boy was in Forbes magazine last year for picking stocks that are doing well. So comment below what we think. These are three good companies. If it's other companies you guys think is going to do better, please share. I'll do some research on them. And on these YouTube streets, give everybody information why I think they will be good or not good at all. But in closing, you guys be healthy, stay blessed. Tis the season to be jolly in 2025. Let's let it rain down on us. Get the dollars, make some money, and then tithe your 10%. Anyways, y'all, love is love. Let's have a great, prosperous year and stay blessed. Let's make some payment promise together, y'all. Peace.